Ammit, the devourer of the unworthy. She does not chase the living, she waits until guilt comes home. The night air over Memphis was cold and thin, carrying the scent of sand and incense. In the distance, the necropolis lay like a sleeping beast, its tombs and causeways swallowed by shadow. Neferet, a scribe trained to copy prayers for the dead, stood on the stone steps of the hall of Ma'at. Her linen dress clung softly to her knees in the chill, and a single oil lamp flickered in her hand. She was not supposed to be here after dark, but something had been wrong for nights. The guardians reported sounds beneath the hall, as though stone itself breathed, and tonight, as the moon rose, she felt the whisper, a heartbeat not her own, pulsing through the ground beneath her feet. Inside the hall, the air was colder. The walls bore faded paintings of scales and feathers, of souls weighed and judged. At the center, the great ceremonial balance of Ma'at stood empty. Normally, a priest would place the heart of the deceased on one side, the feather on the other. Tonight, the pans were bare. Neferet approached the altar and froze. The offering chest had been forced open. The ceremonial heart amulet, the one used to sanctify judgment rites, was gone. Without it, no soul could be weighed. Someone had stolen from the dead. And in the shadows near the threshold, she heard a low growl. She knelt by the broken chest, fingers brushing the stone. A footprint, heavy, clawed, pressed into the sand. It wasn't human. It wasn't animal either. She had copied enough papyri to recognize the shape. The foot of Ammit, the devourer of the unworthy. Her lamp trembled. According to the scrolls, Ammit only came when balance was broken, when sin tilted the scales. And if the heart was stolen, it meant judgment itself had been disturbed. She straightened, pulse hammering in her ears. The growl returned, closer this time, reverberating through the columns. She followed the sound down a hidden staircase carved beneath the hall of Ma'at. The deeper she descended, the more the air thickened, smelling of iron and wet stone. Torch niches burned faintly, their flames bending inward as if pulled towards something below. The passage opened into an underground chamber, circular, silent, and ancient. At its center lay a broken altar, and on it the missing heart amulet. But it was not alone. Dark ripples shimmered across the sand as though something vast moved beneath the floor. A gust of hot wind swept through the chamber, extinguishing the torches. Neferet spun around, heart pounding. From the darkness between the columns, Ammit emerged, scales glinting, lion claws scraping stone, crocodile eyes fixed on her. The creature's breath filled the chamber like a furnace. Neferet stumbled back, but didn't run. She had read the texts. Ammit did not hunt the innocent. The devourer waited. She weighed. She judged. And she never came without cause. The creature's growl deepened, and the stolen heart amulet pulsed on the altar like a beating heart. A whisper filled the chamber, cold as desert wind. It wasn't Ammit who spoke, but the voice of the soul to whom the heart once belonged. Words wrapped around Neferet like smoke, telling of betrayal. A thief who had stolen the amulet to cheat judgment, to hide their crimes in death. The ground shook. The feather of Ma'at, laid high above in the hall, began to glow faintly through the cracks in the ceiling. The scales would not rest. Justice was crying out for balance. Neferet heard footsteps on the stairs, the thief returning, unaware of what awaited below. A shadow stumbled into the chamber, a priest, one she had trusted, clutching a blood-stained linen bag. His eyes widened when he saw Ammit's hulking shape by the altar. He ran, but there was no escaping the goddess of judgment, The sand split and Ammit lunged, not to kill, but to block the path, her great form arching between guilt and escape. Neferet felt her own hands tremble, not from fear, but from the weight of what she must do. She stepped forward. She lifted the amulet and placed it on the altar. Above, a faint golden beam pierced the cracks in the ceiling, illuminating the chamber. The thief screamed, not from pain, but from the sudden, undeniable presence of judgment. The air grew thick, heavy as stone. Ammit did not speak. She lowered her head, and the scales appeared in a shimmer of light, feather on one side, heart on the other. The balance tipped violently. The priest fell to his knees, begging for a mercy that would never come. And Ammit moved, swift, absolute, as the chamber fell silent. When Neferet opened her eyes, the thief was gone. Only dust and a faint shimmer in the air remained, like heat above desert sands. Ammit stood at the center of the chamber, her massive body framed by the golden light from above. For a long moment she simply stared at Neferet, and then, with a sound like wind over stone, the creature turned away. She was not here to harm the living. She existed to restore balance. And now, the balance was restored. The golden beam faded. The chamber was just stone again. By dawn, Neferet stood once more in the hall of Ma'at. The scales were still, the feather resting perfectly balanced. She placed the heart amulet back in its chest and closed the lid with a quiet, steady hand. But as she stepped outside into the pale morning light, a shadow of wings passed over the sand, though nothing was in the sky. Somewhere between the living and the dead, Ammit had returned to her vigil. Moral: when lies are weighed, all masks are torn. Justice is silence after the storm.